Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. Look who's come all the way to the county ground at Swindon Town. It's Sevilla, one of the best clubs in Europe. How exciting is that? They're here with us today, and look at the supporters of Swindon Town going crazy. You might remember we had a heroic 1-1 tie against this club in our last game. If we win here, I think that we move into the knockout round of the European Cup competition, which is hilarious, particularly since we are currently sitting on 9 points in the Barclays Premier League in 15th place. But 15th place is good enough. It means we are not in the relegation zone. So yeah, that was a big point we got in yesterday's game. Huge point. We're going to continue. Stan and I are going to continue our game of what's the point of Google Autofill. What do we have next?
Kissing.
What's the point of kissing? Geez, I don't know how to answer that question because the point of kissing seems obvious to me. It's nice. It's just that, it's a nice thing. Oh, sorry, I thought that Ball John Green was actually going to do his job. It's a nice thing that people can do. It's pleasant. I think that's the point. Next.
What's the point of living?
What's the point of living? A question I asked myself repeatedly yesterday before Ball John Green's heroic comeback. The point of living is that sometimes you'll have heroic comebacks, like when Ball John Green inexplicably scores 2 goals in 2 minutes. That's the point of living. I mean, I'm sure there are other points too, but that's the real point. Ball John Green with a goal! Ball John Green with a goal against Sevilla, and what is life? We are up 1-0. Oh, the Swindon Town Swoodly Pooper supporters could never have anticipated a world in which Ball John Green could score a goal in the county ground against Sevilla, putting us up 1-0 in the European Cup competition. I believe this is an appropriate time to say, what is air? Okay, next question.
What's the point of middle names?
What's the point of middle names? That's a really interesting question. I have absolutely no answer. What is the point of middle names? Do you know, Stan? I mean, yeah, I'd imagine there's maybe a legal point or something, but I don't know what it is. No, I have no idea. Commenters? What's the point of middle names? No. I guess they make you slightly more unique, but they don't make you that much more unique. And, also, having a unique name is not necessary. For most of human history, people's names were just name and what they did. So it would be John, carpenter. Actually, it'd be John, professional video game player. Professionally bad at video games. All right, what's next?
What's the point of
Whew. Whew. Sorry, freaked out there. I didn't get to hear you. What'd you say? What's the point of Neon Cat? I mean, if you're asking that question, I can't possibly explain to you the point. It is its own point. Yeah, they're really good at playing soccer. That was a nice save from Berna, but my God, I just got stone cold defeated there. All right. Come on, boys. What's next?
What's the point of Occupy Wall Street?
What's the point of Occupy Wall Street? Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think people sort of struggled with understanding and having a sense of identity about that movement, particularly as it expanded outside of Wall Street. There wasn't this list of particular demands or anything, and so in some ways it seemed a little bit like the Tea Party, where it was a lot of people who had sort of similar beliefs and many overlapping beliefs, but their priorities weren't always the same, and their interests weren't always the same. But I think basically it was the point. Wow, Berna, I expect a better save there for the record. The point. We've got to hold on here to our 1-0 lead. This is huge for us. Clear it, please. Thank you. The point was to make the point that 1% of the wealth 1% of the people control about 50% of the wealth in America, and 5% of the people control about 80% of the wealth in America, and that growing wealth gap is not good for the social order, and not just for poor people, by the way. It's also not good for rich people. And if you don't believe me, you should ask everyone who was rich in China in the 1930s. Okay. What's next?
What's the point of planking?
What's the point of planking? What's the point of planking? I mean, well, I mean, that is a completely legitimate question insofar as there is absolutely no point in planking. And it seems like to me like a rather dangerous thing to do when all that you stand to gain from it potentially is a tiny joke. Oh. That was a second-degree burner right there. Ricardo Bunsen Burner is having a fantastic game, and he is being called into use quite a lot. So thank you, Mr. Burner. We got to hold the ball up. Somebody made that point. I got to do a better job holding the ball up. And then we get it. Oh, I had the guy, but I pressed the wrong button. I apologize. That's the end of the first half. With the what? Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers beating one of the best teams in Spain? Are you serious? It's happening. Oh, do you feel bad because you're not winning? Because you came to the county ground and you expected to win 7-0? Sorry. All right, what's next?
What's the point of quotes?
What's the point of quotes? Well, I mean, I think the point of people find a lot of inspiration in quotes. It's also a relatively accessible way to engage with thought without having to, read the whole text. So, for instance, the text of Ulysses is really difficult to read, but I can tell you some great quotes from Ulysses that will make you both sound smart and give you something to think about. For instance, history said Stephen is a nightmare from which I'm trying to awake, or a father battling against hopelessness is a necessary evil, that kind of thing. Leroy Williamson, overly aggressive as he so often is, and then, oh boy. It's a big-time through ball. I'm going to need a third-degree burner. And I got one. Great job, Ricardo Bunsen Burner. We're still up 1-0, but you've got to say that the lead looks fragile. The next time there's a stoppage in play, I'm going to make substitutions. Got some tired guys out there from excessive... No, that is not a foul. He was trying to hug him, and there was no better way. He couldn't think of a different way to hug. All right, team management. What's the next one?
What's the point of raking leaves?
What's the point of raking leaves? That, sir, is a question I ask myself on a regular basis. The ostensible point of raking leaves, which I find completely unconvincing, by the way, is that, one size fits all. He's given his all today, and I saw him struggling. So I felt that he needed to come out, and I was right. Okay. We're making a triple change, the rare triple change. I just feel like our team needs a full injection of energy. So we got 3 guys lined up coming in. What's the point of raking leaves? Well, I mean, if you don't rake leaves, sometimes it kills your grass. But then that leads to a larger question, which is what's the point of having a lawn? There is no point of having a lawn except for social convention. So really there is no point of raking leaves except for social convention. But, social convention turns out to be really, really strong motivator in people's lives and how they organize their lives. So, yeah, there you go. Everybody's going to keep raking leaves. It's like $1 billion business. Think if we just spent all that time raking leaves, like updating Wikipedia and stuff, we'd be so much smarter as a world. Not your best clearance. What's next?
What's the point of smoking a cigar?
What's the point of smoking a cigar? I mean, well, I assume to annoy people around you with the disgusting smell, to call attention to yourself, and then lastly, they are kind of delicious. I've smoked a few cigars in my day, some expensive cigars. Kind of delicious. For some people, it's a way of celebrating. Oh, wow, how did he miss the goal? I have no idea how that tiny little man failed to score. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you. Oh, I think that's Jesus Navas. That's his Spanish name. Usually he scores in that situation. I'm just going to kick the ball as hard as I can. That's going to be my Yes, there is really no point in smoking cigars, and obviously you shouldn't do it. There are cooler habits in the world. What's next?
What's the point of Twitter?
What's the point of Twitter? I mean, how else are you going to find out what Kanye West is thinking on a minute-by-minute basis? Well, the point of Twitter is the same as the point of blogging, to go back to yesterday's video. And the real point of all of these social media things is to interact with other humans in ways that you will find meaningful. Now, like, not everyone is going to find Twitter equally meaningful. And to those who don't, I say that's fine. But I think that Twitter can lead to interesting conversations between people and among people. And I think that's what's interesting about it. It can also facilitate conversations that it's hard for governments to monitor, which can be very useful in, for instance, an Egyptian revolution. Although, as we saw in Iran, at times Twitter does get monitored by governments, and in those situations, too often people end up going to jail or getting killed for things that they said on Twitter, which is a real... to say that it's a tragedy is to understate the matter. It's just unbearable that we live in a world where those things happen. So it's complicated. What's next?
What's the point of underwear?
What's the point of underwear? I mean, to protect your pants from your junk. Period. What's next? Or vice versa, Stan says.
What's the point of Valentine's Day?
What's the point of Valentine's Day? How else are, the point is to celebrate romantic love. But of course, that's hilarious in our current world because romantic love is celebrated everywhere and always. So, like, there may have been a point to Valentine's Day in, like, the 40s when romantic love wasn't worshipped as the only kind of respectable love to be in. But certainly now Valentine's Day is hilarious to me because every freaking day is Valentine's Day, at least in the West. So, yeah, there is no point. Okay, it's wide. Okay, what's next?
What's the point of wisdom teeth?
Wisdom teeth? The point of wisdom teeth is to have something for dentists to take out. Next?
What's the point of Xbox achievement points?
What's the point of anything in video games? What's the point of Xbox achievement points? Next?
What's the point of you?
What's the point of you? Oh God. I don't know. What's last?
What's the point of Zen Garden?
What's the point of Zen Garden? Oh, the point of Zen Garden is to, use... I don't know if that's a video game or something, but if you're referring to, like, Zen rock gardens, it's to create internal peace. What? We won! We won! Holy snood! Can you believe it? The Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers come home to their crowd and they win a Euro... this is just... It's unfathomable. Great goal in the 10th minute from Bald John Green. A heroic goal, some would say. Bald John Green, he's so strong. Leroy Williamson, he played his part. Everybody did. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Best wishes.